Starting off this countdown, we have the vampire fish falling from the sky. Back in 2015, something really weird happened in Alaska. A bunch of vampire fish, aka lampreys, were seen falling out of the sky and landing on people's lawns. Now, if you've never seen a lamprey before, they're terrifying. They look like something you see in your nightmares. It looks like a mix between a snake, an eel, a worm, and like a leech. They can be anywhere from 5 to 40 inches in length and attack fish by sucking the life out of them. Lampreys have 11 or 12 rows of teeth that wrap around in their mouth like a ring. I'm telling you, they're terrifying. Now imagine this, these aquatic creatures fallen from the sky and landed down on the ground right in front of you. People were terrified when this was happening, and rightfully so. They were probably thinking that it's like the end of the world. Anyways, in the end, they believe that this was caused by gulls grabbing them out of the ocean and then dropping their dead bodies when flying over someone's lawn. Which makes me feel a bit better, like at least we know they weren't just like spawning out of the sky, you know? In our 9th spot today, we have the upside down tree garden. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then why don't you smash that like button, because it really helps us out. This is actually quite beautiful, and I would love to go to Alaska just to see this garden. Located in Mendenhall Valley, it is filled with trees that are literally planted upside down. These are referred to as flower towers. They have their tops buried in the ground and their roots are up in the air. On top of the roots, they then form like a little basket where beautiful bright flowers are planted on top. Now you may be wondering, who designed this garden and why? Well, in 1985, a landslide uprooted a bunch of trees and destroyed one of the main streams. So a man named Steve, a landscaper, was assigned to restore the stream. As he was working on it, he picked up a large fallen tree stump that was upside down and slammed it into the soft mud. Then he was like, you know, that's cool, and then continued to take all these trees and just put them in the mud upside down. And Steve was right, because it does look frickin' cool. Coming in at number 8, we have the giant crab, aka the red king crabs. Now, when I say that these things are giant, they are giant, like massive. They can grow up to 25 pounds with a leg span of 5 feet. Dude, I'm about 5'5.5", so those things would be close to my size if I like laid down beside them, which I never would, but anyways, fishing them in Alaska is really popular. Roughly 100 boats go out fishing for them over a period of 2 to 3 months, and millions of pounds of this crab are harvested. So it must be an Alaskan delicacy. In our 7th spot today, we have the moose poop jewelry. And you heard me correctly. There are people in Alaska that turn moose poop into earrings, necklaces, you name it. I mean, hey, it's sustainable, so why not? But just the thought of someone like handling moose poo, it just makes me shiver. You know, like the smell would get to me. But it's not only jewelry that you can buy there. You can get tree ornaments or keychains all made out of moose poop too. Don't worry though, the poo is fully dried and double coated with a seal, so not only does that strengthen it, but it also makes sure that it doesn't smell. In our 6th spot, we have the abandoned igloo city. Located in Cantwell, Alaska, there's an abandoned igloo building. It was first created with the intention to be a cool little hotel, but it never got fully completed. Back in the 1970s when they were building it, the workers kept failing to beat building codes at the time. So they just gave up. And it was easier and cheaper to just leave the building up instead of tearing it down, so that's why it's still there. Now the outside might look complete, but the inside is not finished at all. So now it's just a cool little tourist attraction. But sadly, you're not allowed inside to explore. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the Dr. Seuss house. Again, another place that I would love to visit. Located in Willow, Alaska, the Dr. Seuss house, or the Goose Creek Tower, is a 185 feet tall structure that looks like several houses stacked on top of each other. And that's because it basically is. It honestly looks like something straight out of a Dr. Seuss book, which is why it's given that name. Anyways, the bottom of the house started by a 40 by 40 foot log cabin. Then the designer started adding more and more cabins on the house, each getting smaller and smaller as they ascend into the sky. But they unfortunately were forced to stop when they reached the height of 185 feet. Because if they go past 200 feet, then they're getting into federal airspace territory. In our fourth spot, we have HAARP. HAARP, aka High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, was created by the government to analyze the ionosphere, which is the area where the Earth's atmosphere meets space. Seeing this area from afar, it looks weird. It's just like a parking lot filled with massive antennas. But this place also has a number of conspiracy theories surrounding it. For example, many people believe that the government is using this base to control the weather or even mind control us. Another theory is that the government is actually using this place to create and test geothermal weapons, space weapons, or even death ray weapons. It's crazy. I know. Coming in at number 3, we have the outhouse races. Imagine visiting Alaska and then seeing a bunch of people in outhouses on skis racing down the street. This is a real thing that they do in Alaska as part of the Anchorage Fur Rendezvous. So teams actually create and design / decorate their own outhouses. Like I said, the outhouses are then placed on skis or a snowboard. And then 4 team members push or pull the outhouse to the finish line while one person is inside of it. Not gonna lie, this looks extremely fun. Like, I'd love to watch this race or even design my own outhouse. As weird as that sounds, I never thought I would ever say that sentence in my life. Coming in at number 2, we have the Lady of the Lake. Now, when I first heard this, I'm like, damn, I bet this is about a creepy ghostly lady that like drowned in an Alaskan lake and now haunts the area. I was completely wrong. I was way off. Okay, I've just been doing way too many ghost videos lately. Anyways, the Lady of the Lake is an abandoned aircraft that is submerged at the bottom of a lake in Alaska. Basically, in 1955, the Air Force got rid of all the WB-29 Super Fortress planes due to an accident. So they took this plane and brought it to the lake. That's when it was used for open water extraction training. But after using it for quite some time, they're like, nah, sorry, it's still too dangerous to use this plane. So they literally just left it there and then it sank to the bottom. So there you go. And in our number 1 spot today, we got the Blue Babe. This is the name given to the mummified remains of an Ice Age bison. The remains are more than 36,000 years old. So basically, during the Alaskan gold rush, when they were looking for gold, they came across a number of mummified animals. Obviously, they didn't care because it wasn't gold, so they just tossed the bodies aside. Then in 1979, a miner was like, yo, what the hell is this? Because he just saw a pair of bison feet sticking out of the mud. They carefully dug it out, and like I said, they discovered that this bison was 36,000 years old. Now, what's kind of weird is that they then took the bison's skin off of its carcass and just attached it to a replica model of it. Like, that was their way of preserving it. But still, it's kind of weird, like de-skinning and then reconstructing a dead animal. Starting off this countdown, we have the giant mosquitoes. First off, I would like to give a huge shout out to subscriber Rocker Bob. He left a comment about the mosquitoes in Alaska, and they definitely deserve a spot on today's list. The mosquitoes in Alaska are so big that they joke around and call them the state bird. The biggest type are a kind called the snow mosquito, and they are about the length of a full-grown American honeybee. Yeah, it's massive. I mean, on the plus side, you can see them coming. Like, I hate when all of a sudden I'm like, I got a mosquito bite, right? Like, where did that come from? Maybe now you'll be able to see these suckers and then I'm just kidding. But here's the thing. The swarm of mosquitoes there are so aggressive, they have been known to chase herds of caribou into the sea. Not only that, they have the ability to completely drain a caribou. Isn't that absolutely terrifying? So if you're planning on going, make sure you put bug repellent on your packing list. Several cans. Moving on at number 9, we have the laws. Alright, so if you're planning your trip to Alaska, you know you need that mosquito repellent, but you also should just, do a little refresher on the laws there. You don't want to do anything illegal and risk getting arrested. Here are some of the weirdest laws you'll find in Alaska. For starters, it's illegal to wake up a sleeping bear in the purpose to take its photo. Who is dumb enough to wake up a sleeping bear? Anyways, if it's not for the purpose of taking a photo, can you wake it up? I don't know. It's also illegal to push a moose out of an airplane. Damn it, there goes my weekend plans. Like, seriously, clearly this has happened before, so they had to make this a law. But who's loading a moose onto an airplane in the first place? And then second, who's then pushing it out? That's just messed up. Anyways, it's also illegal to give alcohol to a moose. Again, that means someone was caught doing this, so then they had to then make it a law. And it's also illegal to tie your pet dog to the roof of a car. Excuse me? Who the hell is doing that? That's just incredibly messed up. But yeah, that's just some of the many weird laws. Coming in at number 8, we have the giant halibut. Again, thank you to Rocker Bob for telling me about this one as well. But the fish in Alaska are massive. Like, what are people feeding them? You see this picture right here? This is not edited at all. That is a 327-pound halibut caught by a man named Greg Brewer. I have so many questions. 1, how did they catch that? 2, how did they reel that bad boy in? 3, why is that fish so big? Seriously, apparently Alaskan halibut can grow to be 8 feet long and 5 feet wide. They can also weigh up to 500 pounds. I literally don't believe this. Like, what is in the waters over there? Coming in at number 7, we have the lake monster. Of course, Alaska has a lake monster. I mean, have you seen the size of those fish? Those alone are monsters. But over at Iliamna Lake, there's a supposed lake monster that has been spotted a number of times throughout the years. It even has been blamed for a number of deaths. As a result, the monster has been given the name Illy. The monster is said to be 10 to 30 feet in length with a square-like head. It uses its head to then knock boats over. People are so determined to catch this thing that there's a $100,000 reward given to anyone that provides concrete evidence that this monster exists. One of the first sightings was in 1942 by Babe Ellsworth and Bill Hammersley. They were on a flight over the lake when they saw something weird moving in the waters below. When they got closer down to it, they saw this long, massive creature flipping its tail side to side. Over the years, a number of other pilots and boaters have seen this creature as well. So just be careful if you ever decide to go swimming, or bring your camera so you can capture this creature and then get the cash, even better. In our 6th spot, we have Muck Land. Muck Land is said to be one of the most bizarre and creepy amusement parks in the world. The theme of this park is there is none. It's basically like a collection of random stuff. You got rusting snowmobiles and a giant cabbage, but scariest of all, you got this weird place of dolls. Basically, there's a log cabin and it's just filled with hundreds of dolls. Like, they're everywhere on the floor, shelves, walls, you get it. But I don't quite understand because entering the cabin is forbidden. In fact, there's a big open bear trap waiting for you in the room if you do trespass and enter. Why have a display that you can't visit? I don't know, I just have a feeling that those dolls are cursed or possessed or something like that. They just threw them all inside of one big cabin and locked them up. I'm just kidding, but still, the place does look cursed. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the hairy beast. So not only do you have to look out for lake monsters while you're there, but also these big hairy beasts that resemble Bigfoot. Hey, maybe it's his older brother or something. Anyways, a number of disappearances and deaths have been linked to a mysterious hairy beast that lurks in Port Chatham. In the 1930s, a number of people went missing in the area. In 1931, Andrew Kamluck went out logging. He was later found dead in the forest. He got a bad blow to his head. Around the same time, a man named Simon Vazhnikoff was out in that area and randomly disappeared without a trace. Another man named Tom Larson was out chopping wood when he said he saw something hairy on the beach, and it wasn't my uncle without a shirt on. The creature was just standing there staring at him. Thankfully, it didn't attack. Also, on a number of other occasions, people have seen weird man-like footprints in the mud. So I think it's time to gather a team and go Bigfoot hunting. Who's with me? Moving on to number 4, we have the massive produce. So we got massive mosquitoes, massive fish, massive beasts. What's next? Well, how about massive produce? Because of the fact that Alaska has long summer days, they are able to grow oversized produce, like a 35-pound broccoli, a 65-pound cantaloupe, and a 138-pound cabbage. They get like 20 hours of sunshine, so yeah, they're just growing non-stop. In fact, there's even an annual Alaska State Fair where people show off the massive produce they have grown. They've got massive pumpkins, zucchini, watermelon, anything you could ever dream of. Honestly, I'd be down to do a little taste testing of these magically big produce. Who's with me? Moving on at number 3, we have the sunlight. In the northern parts of Alaska, they can receive 24 hours of sunlight in the summer, which is great for people that love basking in the sun. Then you got the downside to that. In Barrow, they get around 2 months of just sheer darkness in the winter. Those with seasonal depression would absolutely suffer there. I just find that crazy. It's like from one extreme to another. From 24 hours of sunlight to 24 hours of darkness. It's crazy. Coming in at number 2, we have Gnome. Apparently, a number of people have gone missing in Gnome within the past 75 years. Between 1960 to 2004, about 24 residents disappeared without a trace. There are a number of theories regarding these disappearances, from UFO involvement to alien abductions to even serial killers. It's crazy. People just don't know what's happening to these residents. In fact, the Hollywood movie The Fourth Kind was meant to tell the story of Gnome, but obviously they made it scarier and UFO based. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the Moose Dropping Festival. This is a quite interesting festival, to say the least. But basically, for years, there was this annual Moose Dropping Festival. Basically, they took moose poop, slapped some varnish on it, and then numbered them. The poop was then dumped from a crane in a parking lot. People willing to participate all had a number that corresponded with the poo that they were rooting on. The piece of moose poop that landed closest to the center of the target would receive a cash prize. Kinda seems fun. It's a little weird, but you know, seems fun, not gonna lie. But sadly, the event started to get too big, and in 2009, they had to stop hosting it.